Welcome to Nicosia session in Cyprus. We are here at Cyprus University. The forum is starting in a few minutes. Please join us and take your seats. Cyprus. 中国下午好. Good morning to all the distinguished guests and friends. Welcome to the second China-Cyprus Youth Forum. We are Sofia and Mariana Gatokritou, hostesses of this event. It's our honor to be hostesses of this event as we were living and studying in China for more than 7 years.
尊敬的各位来宾，女士们、先生们，大家好！我们是来自塞浦路斯的玛丽安和索菲亚，我们在中国生活过7年的时间，所以我们当本次活动的主持人真的是我们的荣幸。
Here with us is Mr. Wang Bo, professor at the University of International Business and Economics, and Mr. Chen Wei, lecturer at Shihezi University. They will also join us as the co-presenters today. Welcome.
Thank you, Mariana and Sophia. Good morning, respectable leaders, and dear friends and colleagues in Cyprus. And good afternoon, respectable leaders, dear friends and colleagues in Shihezi and Beijing. This is Wang Bo from University of International Business and Economics. I'm privileged to host the second China-Cyprus Youth Forum from Beijing. Please allow me to introduce His Excellency Professor Xia Wenbin, the rector of UIBE. We also have young faculties and students from both Peking University and University of International Business and Economics to join our today's forum. And welcome you all. Now, let me give the floor to Mr. Chen Wei in Xinjiang. Mr. Chen, please.
Thank you, Professor Wang. And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And good morning, Nicosia. I'm Chen Wei from Shihezi University. It's my great privilege to be able to moderate the second China-Cyprus Youth Forum with my colleagues in Nicosia and Beijing. And right here from our forum, we'd like to extend our greetings to you all. We do say hello to our friends in Nicosia and Beijing. Hello. Your Excellency, Mr. Liu Yantao, Ambassador of China to Cyprus. Your Excellency, Mr. Tassos, Christophides, Rector of the University of Cyprus. Dr. Terpsa Konstantinito, Director of the Department of Higher Education of the Ministry of Education, Sports, and Youth. Ladies and gentlemen, it is our great honor to have two distinguished guests with us for today's forum. Please allow me to introduce them to you. Professor Dai Bing, Rector of Shihezi University. Professor Ma Chunhui, Deputy Rector of Shihezi University. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, youth representatives, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second China-Cyprus Youth Forum. And now let's give the floor to the keynote speakers in Nicosia. Back to Mariana and Sophia, please.
Thank you. The second China-Cyprus Youth Forum is co-organized by the Chinese Embassy in Cyprus, the Cyprus Embassy in China, the University of Cyprus, the University of International Business and Economics in Beijing, UIBE, and the Shihezi University in Xinjiang, Just to share with you, we graduated from University of International Business and Economics with a degree of Economics and MBA. Through today's forum, we aim to facilitate the cross-cultural integration and communication of the young people from both countries. I would like to present to you the distinguished guest who are with us here in Cyprus. His Excellency Mr. Tassos Christofoidis, Rector of the University of Cyprus. Welcome. Later. His Excellency Mr. Liu Yantao, Ambassador of China to Cyprus. Welcome. As you know, the Archbishop Chrysostomos passed away yesterday and brought sorrow to the whole nation of Cyprus. So the minister, Mr. Prodromos Prodromou and Yanis Tomazis couldn't attend our forum today. Let's welcome, on behalf of the Minister of Education, Sports and Youth, Dr. Tepsa Kousaboulou, Director of the Department of Higher Education of the Ministry of Education, Sport and Youth of Cyprus. Welcome. We are also honored to have with us today the Ambassador at Honor, Marios Ieronymidis, former Ambassador of Cyprus to China. Welcome. As well as their Excellencies, the Ambassador Kostas Papadimas and the Ambassador Leonidas Leonidou. Welcome both. So now let us invite our first guest, His Excellency Mr. Tassos Christofoidis, Rector of the University of Cyprus, to give a speech.
Good morning, everybody. I hope you can hear me in China. So I would like to greet the Deputy Minister of Education of China, Your Excellency, Ambassador of China in Cyprus, Your Excellency, Ambassador of the State of Palestine in Cyprus, Your Excellencies, dear colleague, Rector of the Open University of Cyprus, dear Dr. Konstantinidou, Director of the Higher Education of the Ministry of Education, Sports and Youth. Dear colleagues here in Cyprus and in China, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that I welcome you to the second China-Cyprus Youth Forum, which is a coping stone of the continuous cooperation between the University of Cyprus and the Embassy of the People's Republic of China. Recently, the China-Cyprus Youth Forum has become a platform for creating space for dialogue among young people in Cyprus and China. This clearly demonstrates the commitment of the two countries to ensure that the youth of today and tomorrow are empowered and their voices are being heard. In this framework, hosting the second China-Cyprus Youth Forum is a special honor, since it is being held for the first time here at the University of Cyprus. Nelson Mandela once stated that the future belongs to the youth. As some of us are near the end of our political careers, he's talking about himself, not me, younger people must take over. This is what Nelson Mandela has said. Indeed, in today's world, changes are part of our everyday life, and there is a need to educate young people and equip them with the necessary skills in order to react promptly and efficiently to the most important issues that our planet will have to face now and in the future, of course. Therefore, it is our duty to develop individuals that will be able to think out of the box, respect their peers, and come together to bring about positive change in the world. listed in the most distinguished university rankings, such as the Shanghai rankings and the Times rankings, the Times Higher Education rankings, and the QS rankings. The University of Cyprus aspires to be a highly intensive research, educational, and inclusive institution. We work with dedication and passion, thus attracting by far most of the research funding in the country. I am certain that with his experience and know-how, the University of Cyprus will be a valuable partner to the Chinese embassy, the University of International Business and Economics, and the CHZ University, while at the same time, the cooperation with our Chinese partners will open new horizons and perspectives both in the areas of education as well as in research. Let me assure you that the University of Cyprus fully supports all activities that are organized within the context of its cooperation with the Chinese institutions, and the establishment of the Confucius Institute at the University of Cyprus in 2014 is an excellent example of the fruitful cooperation between Cyprus and China in the fields of research, education, and culture. In fact, the establishment of the Confucius Institute is of immense importance as it operates as a hub for the promotion of education, research, and innovation between Chinese academic institutions and the University of Cyprus, while at the same time, it is a reference point with the Chinese community here in Cyprus. Your Excellency, Mr. Ambassador of China in Cyprus, we sincerely thank you for your cooperation, for your continuous cooperation, your continuous support, and the collaboration between the University of International Business and Economics, the CHZ University, and the Embassy of Cyprus in Beijing. In closing, I would like to thank the many speakers and colleagues that have contributed to the organization of this forum, and to the students for their participation. In closing, again, I would like to welcome you once more at the premises of the University of Cyprus. I'm very happy that this activity takes place here in person, ending let's say, the difficult times of the pandemic. I hope that very soon we'll be leaving behind us the pandemic, and obviously we'll be more than happy to organize more activities along with the Embassy here of China in Cyprus and in cooperation with our partners in China. So thank you so much. All the best to each one of you.
Thank you, Mr. Tassos Christofidis, for your speech. Before we continue, let's welcome also His Excellency, Mr. Attari, Ambassador of the State of Palestine in Cyprus. Welcome. Now, we are also honored to invite His Excellency, Mr. Liu Yantao, Ambassador of China to Cyprus, on the stage for a welcome speech.
让我们有请中国驻塞浦路斯大使刘彦涛先生上台致辞。
Honorable Vice Minister Tian Xuejun, respected Madam Constantine Nido, the representative of Minister Prodomus Prodomo, Rector Tassos Christofidis of University of Cyprus, Your Excellency Ambassador Maza Mavlomadis, Rector Xia Wenbin of University of International Business and Economics, Rector Dai Bing of Shihezi University, ladies and gentlemen, old and young friends, good morning and good afternoon. First of all, I wish to express my deep condolences to the Church of Cyprus on the passing of Archbishop Christos Thomas II. His passing is a great loss to Cyprus. May his memory be eternal. Today, we get together at the Second China-Cyprus Youth Forum. On behalf of Chinese Embassy in Cyprus, I would like to express heartfelt thanks to the co-hosts of the forum. They are the University of Cyprus, the Cyprus Embassy in China, the University of International Business and Economics, and the Shihe University. I also want to extend a warm welcome to all the distinguished guests and friends here. A Chinese saying goes, nothing, not even mountains and seas, can separate people with shared aspirations. Last year, while two countries celebrated the 50th anniversary of diplomatic ties. Take this as an opportunity. We successfully held the first China-Cyprus Youth Forum. The forum is a bridge of friendship and exchanges between our young people. It's being highly recognized by leaders of our two countries. Today, our young people are meeting here once again to renew friendship and deepen cooperation. This time, the forum has greater size, level of participation and influence. It has become a pace setter for youth and people-to-people exchanges between our two countries. Last month, the Communist Party of China successfully held the 20th National Congress. It has charted the course for China's future development. It has injected strong impetus into China's friendly exchanges with other countries, and it is important for history and for the world. This month, we will celebrate the first anniversary of the China-Cyprus strategic partnership. This shows greater development and bright prospects of our bilateral ties in the new era. In this context, this forum is particularly timely and significant, with young people encouraged to have deep discussions and carry forward the friendship. This will further boost the friendship and cooperation between our two countries. Friends, today, sustainable development is one of the most pressing tasks of the world. Last February, the UN Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change issued a warning. It said that the climate change faster than people's ability to adapt. It also said the humanity's emission reduction efforts cannot limit temperature rise within 1.5 Celsius degree by the end of this century. Meanwhile, due to factors related to economy, finance, energy, food, industry, and supply chains, some countries are wavering their climate policies. Climate change is a global challenge. It affects all countries. No country is able to stay away from it. We must work together to promote green transformation and high-quality development so as to protect the Earth, our shared home. China pursues sustainable development. We believe that clean waters and green mountains are valuable assets. We advocate harmony between people and nature in modernization. In the past decade, China's CO2 emissions per unit of GDP have dropped by 34.4%. China has led the world in forest expansion and new energy vehicle sales. In the past 5 years, China's installed capacity of offshore wind power is bigger than that of all other countries combined. I once worked in Xinjiang. It has the largest desert area in China. Thanks to our long-term efforts, desert no longer erode human habitat. More green spaces are emerging on the deserts. China aims to peak CO2 emission before 2030 and achieve carbon neutrality before 2060. This will be the world's most intensive emission reduction and also the fastest progress from carbon peak to neutrality. As strategic partners, China and Cyprus both pursue green transformation. Cyprus gives priority to climate change in foreign policy and emphasizes green developments in economic and social development. China highly applauds this. We are ready to enhance synergy with Cyprus Vision 2035 and implement the Global Development Initiative together with Cyprus. We are ready to deepen practical cooperation with Cyprus in green recovery, environmental technology, circular economy, and clean energy, and implement the UN 2030 agenda for sustainable development. This will not only benefit our two peoples, but also contribute to global sustainable development. Friends, the deficit in peace, development, security, and governance in growing the contemporary world. To effectively meet these challenges, we need to draw a wisdom from the fine traditional culture. In fact, tradition is a past modernity, and modernity is a future tradition. Fine tradition culture is the basis for the development of a country and a nation. Promoting fine tradition culture does not mean returning to the past. Instead, we need to adapt it to the modern society and meet people's aspiration for a better future, for a better life. The Tokyo Summer Olympics and Beijing Winter Olympics both added the word together to the Olympic motto. This is a good example to show how humanity has creatively adapted traditional culture to address today's problem. China is an ancient civilization with a history of 5,000 years. We have forced our way, viewing the universe, the world, society, and morality. At the same time, we have adapted them to the new domestic and international situation today, and to address problems of our times and the world. The Chinese people understand that the world is diverse. All living things may grow side by side without harming one another. Different roads may run in parallel without interfering with one another. Therefore, China upholds true multilateralism, promotes great democracy in international relations, and work to build a human community with a shared future. Since ancient time, the Chinese people have put justice before selfish gains. We believe that a country should never sacrifice justice for selfish gains. So China is always a responsible major country. We have actively taken international responsibilities within our capacity, and we have extended a helping hand to countries in need. In addition, the Chinese people believe that contentment brings no shame, and knowledge of limits brings no danger. It is important to accommodate everybody's legitimate concerns, live and let live. This is a way to solve problems in a fair and sustained manner. In this context, we have put forward the Global Security Initiative. We advocate that security is invisible. No country can be secure when others are insecure. A balanced, effective, and sustainable security framework needs to be built. Both China and Cyprus are ancient civilizations. We share much in common. The famous Greek writer Nikos Kazantzakis once said, if you look through the appearance of a Chinese, then you see a Greek, and vice versa. Let me share with you another example. China's ancient classic book, Tao Te Ching, said that it needs to observation to know others, but reflection to know oneself. At the temple of Apollo, Delphi in Greece uses the word know thyself. How similar are they? They both give us much aspirations. Only heart-to-heart exchanges may last. Our countries need to further strengthen cultural exchanges and mutual learning. We need to jointly promote our fine traditional cultures. In this way, we will contribute one wisdom to meeting challenges in the world and promoting progress of humanity. Friends, youth is the essence of our lifetime. If a person wants to do something big, he starts from the youth. Young people carry the hope of our countries and the future of China-Cyprus relations. It is important for young people to aim high but stay grounded. Dare to think big and take action, but make sure you can deliver. Seize the opportunities of times, actively meet challenges, and fully demonstrate your vigor and vitality. Here, I have some suggestions for the young friends here. First, equality and friendship. This is a fine tradition of China-Cyprus relations. You are expected to carry it forward. Through equal-footed exchanges, you may respect and understand each other and build lasting friendship. Second, mutual learning. Young people are encouraged to find the beauty of our cultures, respect them, and learn from this. This will help everyone make progress. Third, innovation. All the young friends here are smart, pioneering, and creative. You are encouraged to contribute your wisdom to the cooperation between our two countries. This will create an even bright future for China-Cyprus relations. In conclusion, I wish this forum a full success. I thank you.
感谢大使的精彩致辞。Thank you, Ambassador Liu Yantao. Now let us invite Her Excellency Dr. Terpsa Konstantinidou, Director of the Department of Higher Education of the Ministry of Education, Sport and Youth of Cyprus on the stage to honor us with her presence.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, the Ambassador of China to Cyprus, Your Excellencies Ambassadors, Your Excellencies Rectors of universities, dear friend, the Rector of the University of Cyprus, Mr. Tassos Christofidis. It is with great pleasure that I am here with you today on behalf of the Minister of Education, Sport and Youth to address the second China-Cyprus Youth Forum. I would like first to congratulate the ambassador of China for his excellent speech, and especially I like very much the advices that he gave to the young people. They were really important, and I think if the young people follow these advices, they will be very successful in their lives and contribute to the society. Thank you very much once again. Empowering the relations between Cyprus and China, especially in the area of youth, is a priority for us. So any initiative in this direction is welcome. The theme, namely, embrace a green life and promote China-Cyprus friendship, is very timely and interesting. It is also in line with the outcomes of the 9th Environment for Europe Ministerial Conference, which was held between the 5th and the 7th of October 2022 in Nicosia, Cyprus, which highlighted the potential of education to be the key to more just, sustainable, prosperous, resilient, and peaceful societies. I am confident that many thought-provoking and creative ideas will be shared in this forum, contributing to a better understanding of the issues under study. At the same time, another step will be made in the direction of enhancement of the friendship between Cyprus and China. Our ministry is seeking to develop further relations with China in the areas of its competence, namely education, youth, and sport. We try to consolidate our cooperation through the signing of agreements and memoranda and by implementing relevant activities. A turning point was the signing of the Agreement on Mutual Recognition of Higher Education Qualifications and the Memorandum of Understanding of Cooperation in the fields of higher education and science for the years 2022-2026. At the local level, our ministry is closely cooperating with the Embassy of China and the Confucius Institute for the promotion of the Chinese language and culture. While cooperation in the areas is important, we place special emphasis in the area of tertiary education. To strengthen these relations, in the last years, a number of actions have taken place, leaving no doubt that collaboration in higher education is a priority. These actions open up pathways for Cyprus-China cooperation, while they indicate our commitment to academic exchange and cooperation between both countries. The scholarships offered to Cypriots, they are very greatly appreciated by the ministry. They are offered by the China Scholarship Council every academic year, and we consider them very significant since they provide more opportunities for Cypriots to study in China. An important aspect of Cyprus higher education is the fact that it is aligned with EU policy that supports mobility between Europe and non-European countries, thus contributing to the improvement of higher education institutions. Within Erasmus+, higher education institutions are supported and encouraged to form partnerships. Through these synergies and intellectual endeavors, universities and governments can ensure that our graduates will be equipped to meet the challenges of the 21st century. A strong and viable higher education will stimulate economic development in both countries. Cypriot and Chinese universities can join forces to benefit from the numerous European programs. I firmly believe that the benefits arising from the collaboration between our countries extend beyond the strictly academic and research fields, promoting international cooperation in higher education and encouraging our students to embrace the opportunities offered through mobility between Cyprus and China will connect our nations and cultures. Concluding, I would like to congratulate the organizers for their initiative to organize the forum and make a wish that the forum will be productive and successful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Sarkophadinidou. Now let's connect to Beijing to give the word to Mr. Tian Shejun, Deputy Minister of Education of China, for a short speech.
尊敬的 Plodromus、Plodrom 部长阁下，尊敬的刘元涛大使阁下，尊敬的 Masha、Maframati 大使阁下，女士们、先生们、青年朋友们，大家好！非常高兴出席第2届中塞青年论坛，与来自中塞2国的青年朋友们相聚云端，共话未来。中国和塞浦路斯是好朋友、好伙伴。近年来，在习近平主席和Anastasiadis总统的亲自关心和引领下，双方以建交50周年为契机，全面落实2国元首达成的重要共识，不断推进政治、经济、文化、教育等各领域务实合作，取得积极进展。教育合作和青年交流是中塞双边关系的重要组成部分。50多年来，2国教育合作不断发展，在互派留学生、互学对方国家语言和文化、相互支持大中小学开展交流等方面成果显著。特别是2021年，中国闽江学院和塞浦路斯欧洲大学成立了首个中塞合作办学机构——闽江学院国际数字经济学院，显著提升了2国教育合作水平，为更多青年赴对方国家学习交流创造了良好条件。新时代赋予青年新使命，当前中国已迈上全面建设社会主义现代化国家新征程，将加快建设高质量教育体系，推进高水平对外开放。中国教育部愿积极为中外青年交流搭建平台。我们期待与塞方一道，为2国青年朋友们互学互鉴、施展才华、实现梦想提供更大舞台和更多机会。在此，我向2国青年朋友提几点期望。第一，希望中塞青年朋友们增强自身本领，争做绿色发展的践行者。本次论坛的主题是畅想绿色生活，畅想中塞友谊。2国青年通过本次交流，凝聚青春力量，展现青年担当，为推动中塞2国以及世界绿色转型和可持续发展做出更大贡献。第二，希望中塞青年朋友们加强互学互鉴，争做2国友谊的传承者。我们鼓励2国更多青年学子赴对方国家学习交流，实地走一走、看一看，加深对彼此文化的了解，互学互鉴，共同成长，为继承发扬中塞传统友谊，增进2国民情相通，发挥更加积极的作用。第三，希望中塞青年朋友们树立全球视野，争做全球治理的贡献者。青年要怀抱梦想， 胸怀世界，去感受和理解隐藏在文化差异背景后的人类共同理想和追求。未来期待中塞两国青年朋友们在国际舞台上发出更多声音，为构建人类命运共同体贡献青春力量。最后，预祝本次论坛圆满成功，希望两国青年朋友们携手创造更加美好的未来。谢谢大家 ，Yasas。
感谢田学军先生的精彩致辞 ，Thank you. Now let's connect again to Beijing to welcome Her Excellency Mrs. Martha Mavromati, the Ambassador of Cyprus to China.
Your Excellency, colleague and friend Liu Yintao, distinguished guests, dear friends, Ni hao, greetings from beautiful and sunny Beijing. It is with great pleasure and honor that I address today the second China-Cyprus Youth Forum. First of all, I would like to congratulate the other co-organizers for their dedication in making this forum a success, and especially the participants, the young leaders from the political parties, the scholars, and the students. This event is held within the framework of the excellent diplomatic relations that the People's Republic of China and the Republic of Cyprus enjoy, the two countries among the most ancient civilizations of the world, proud of their history and their culture. 2021 marked the 50th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between our two countries, and it was an important milestone in our common history. In those 50+1 years, our bilateral relations have thrived through the establishment of mutual understanding and respect. Our political, but also our economic bilateral relations have developed immensely and are now in the highest level that they have ever been. In 2021, 3 high-level meetings and exchanges took place successfully between the two countries. First of all, of course, is the telephone call of His Excellency, the President of the People's Republic of China, Mr. Xi Jinping, and His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Cyprus, Mr. Nikos Anastasiadis, on November 30th, in which the two presidents decided to elevate the relations of our two countries at a strategic partnership. This was followed by a visit by His Excellency Mr. Yang Xichie, Director of the Office of the Foreign Affairs Commission of the Communist Party of China's Central Committee to Cyprus on December 4th, during which he met with both the President of the Republic of Cyprus and the Minister of Foreign Affairs. We should not also forget that there was a visit by His Excellency Mr. Wang Yi, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the People's Republic of China, to Cyprus in January 2021. In May this year, the Memorandum of Understanding in the fields of higher education and science was signed between the Republic of Cyprus and the People's Republic of China, between the Minister of Education, Mr. Prodromos Podromou, and Mr. Liu Yintao, the Chinese ambassador to Cyprus, who was entrusted by the Ministry of Education of China. As a result of this memorandum, we hope to see an increased interest of young Cypriots to know more about China, to learn the language, to study in the country, and of course, to learn about the long history of the Chinese civilization. At the same time, a similar interest is shown by the Chinese people. The people-to-people exchange is exactly the object that today's forum is trying to promote, and in this respect, I am sure it will be a great success. The Embassy of the Republic of Cyprus in Beijing and me personally remain committed to promoting even further the bilateral relations between Cyprus and China in all fields of mutual interest. During the last 51 years, our bilateral relationship has evolved based on mutual respect and support for each other's core interests. Cyprus remains committed to the One China policy, and China, also in its capacity as a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, is supporting our efforts to find a just and viable solution to the Cyprus problem after the Turkish invasion of Cyprus in 1974. And I would like to take this opportunity to once again express our gratitude to the People's Republic of China for their principled stance on the Cyprus issue. And of course, the Republic of Cyprus also, as a member of the European Union, is promoting cooperation between the EU and the People's Republic of China in all fields, starting from trade, investment, human rights, environment, but also a closer coordination in regional issues and issues of common interest to humankind, such as climate change. Finally, I would like to wish all the participants a fruitful and a productive forum, the outcome of which will be to open new doors of cooperation between our two countries through mutual respect and understanding for each other. Thank you. CSCM.
Ευχαριστούμε πολύ. Thank you again to the leaders for the great speeches for today's forum. They were really inspiring. We will work hard to strive and make more outstanding contributions for the future. That's true, and the future belongs to the young people. I think it's time for our first Youth Exchange Dialogue session to begin. It has a title, Promote Sustainable Development for a Green Future. Let's first watch a video from Xinjiang regarding green development. Back to you, Lecturer Chen.
Thank you, Mariana and Sophia. And ladies and gentlemen, actually, Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region, also called Xinjiang, is situated in the hinterland of the Euro-Central continent, bounded by 8 countries. It is an important section of the ancient Silk Road. As a core region of the Silk Road economic belt, it functions as a major window on China's opening to the West. Xinjiang has been playing a significant role in mutual communication and mutual learning between the East and the West. The city we are living now is called Shihezi, which is a young city built on the desert. Actually, it has won a name, the Pearl on the Gobi Desert. To many people, it's just like a sapphire on a vast land. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me and watch our TV, a short clip, video clip about this young, beautiful city. Please. Thank you. As mentioned by the speakers before, and today is also a great chance for us to know each other better. Now we'd like to watch a video about the University of Cyprus. Let's get back to Mariana Sofia, please.
Thank you, Lecturer Chen. What an amazing video. We actually had the chance to visit Xinjiang in 2017, and we had the best of memories. Cyprus has also made many efforts for the protection of the environment and development of the agriculture. Now, please sit back and enjoy a video from the Ministry of Agriculture in Cyprus. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Now let's welcome our young representatives from Xinjiang. Back to you, Lecturer Chen.
Thank you, Marina Sofia. We are so glad to learn that you've been here. Actually, if we are going to select two colors to describe our cities, yours probably is blue and ours is green. Because, as we all know, actually, for those who's been to Shihezi, they're going to have this kind of impression that half of the city is covered with green belt. It is because of forestation coverage of the city. is up to 43%, which is its own advantage compared with other cities in Xinjiang. Now, green has become business card of the city. People here are taking active actions to expand the green belt and take great care of it. With today's theme, promoting sustainability development to embrace a green future, two speakers from Shihe University is going to share with us their stories. Let's give the floor to the first speaker, Ms. Bian Saisai, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, nice to meet you. My name is Bian Saisai from Shihe University in Xinjiang. It's really my pleasure to be here talking to you. Well, the video just showed is my hometown, Shihe. As its name implies, Shihe is a stone on the riverbed because it's located at the south edge of Gobi Desert. It was once surrounded by sand sea with stones everywhere and no grass at all. Over the past 60 years, people in Shihe have planted amendanron trees and rose willows on the edge of the desert and built a 70-kilometer long and a 17-kilometer wide sand sea oasis on the Gobi Desert. The ecological environment has been effectively improved. Nowadays, from city garden to garden city, Shihe is famous for its grain in the north and the south of Tianshan Mountains. Shihe has also developed from a small village with only post stations and several families settling down into a modern new town with more than 740,000 people. It has won the Dubai Award for the best example of the improvement of the human settlements of the United Nations, the first China Human Settlements Awards, the National Garden City, the National Forest City, and so on. I am lucky to live in the new era and get to enjoy the fruits of my parents' labor. However, as young people in the new era, my friends and I are also making our own contributions to the construction of the city with our own actions. I have joined the Water Blue Club, an environmental protection organization of Shihe University that aims to promote the concept of water conservation and environmental protection. Every year, I organize various researches and environmental protection and other activities. Every spring, we take part in voluntary tree planting. The green development of the city cannot be separated from water. Now, Shihe is a city on the edge of the desert, which means the water resources are very valuable. I hope to call on more people to take actions, take the protection of the ecological environment as their own responsibility, practice the ecological concept. Lucid waters and lush mountains are invaluable assets with practical actions and contribute our green power to the beautiful hometown. And then please allow me to conclude today's speech with the poem of the famous modern Chinese poet, Ai Qing. I have been to many places, among which the city is the youngest. It's so beautiful and attractive at first sight. It's not a mirage or a Penglai fairyland. All its plants and trees are made of sweat and toil. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Bian. You know, I'm also lucky to be living here in this beautiful city. Actually, the beauty of this city is a typical example as put by Ambassador Liu Yantao. A typical example of the harmony between nature and human life. Now, let's give the floor to the second speaker, Ms. Ainur, please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and good morning, Nicosia. I'm Ainur from Shihe University in Xinjiang. It is my great honor to have this opportunity to communicate with you about green development. This summer, my family bought 2 cars. and we only spent $2,800 in total. Due to the affordability, energy saving, and no travel restrictions like petrol cars, new energy vehicles, especially electric ones, have gained great popularity among people. And earlier this year, the city where my family lives has issued a preferential policy on electric vehicles with a government subsidy of $300 for each electric vehicle. Now, the streets of my city are full of electric cars. My family's car buying experience is a microcosm of the social change that is taking place not only in China, but in countries around the world that are vigorously promoting the use of new energy vehicles. And this social change is a typical representative of the green development. In the past few decades, the emphasis on economic growth, weak awareness of ecological protection, and the surging carbon emissions have made our world suffer from environmental pollution, resource stress, climate change, biodiversity loss, and other problems. This will affect human beings for decades, even hundreds of years. Therefore, there's only one way ahead: going green and developing green economy. Today, China is accelerating the green transformation of its development mode, developing green and low carbon industries, advocating green consumption, and promoting the formation of green and low carbon production modes and lifestyles. The goal of reaching carbon peak by 2030 and achieving carbon neutrality by 2060 has been comprehensively set. Xinjiang is one of the best examples. By replacing coal with wind and solar energy, and oil and natural gas with electricity, we can promote energy conservation and emission reduction with a green hand. Xinjiang power grid has consumed 73.2 kilowatt hour of new energy electricity in 2021, a year-on-year increase of 25.1%, and the utilization rate of new energy has reached 94%. While the green economy has been effective, we still face many challenges: COVID-19, natural disasters, the balance between economic growth and ecological protection, and so on. Therefore, as contemporary youth, we should unite to face these global problems together. We are convinced that working together, humanity will rebuild and restore the vitality of our planet. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Miss. Thank you for your speech. And from your story, I learned that going green has become a trend in the city, and it is also a choice for many people living here. Also, today we have the opportunity to listen to the voice from the forum in UIBE. So let's turn the microphone to Professor Wang. Professor Wang, please.
Mr. Chen, thank you. Our speakers, Sai Sai and Anya. And I was really very impressed with the clips I watched from Xinjiang and Cyprus. I just had the impression, had the feeling that the land is so green and the sea is so blue, and the life, the people are so happy, and life are just beautiful. However, when we also note that Cyprus is surrounded by sea, and Shihezi is situated at the edge of the Gobi Desert, and Beijing also is in northern China with a very dry and vulnerable climate. And so how can we make our beautiful life, happy life, more sustainable for our generation and also for our future generation? This is a huge question we have to face. and to make our life sustainable. And today we are happy to have 3 speakers from Beijing. They are Professor Li Li from the Institute of International Economics at UIBE, and Dr. Sunbi Yang from the School of International Cooperation and Development at UIBE, and also Ms. Su Pinyi, PhD candidate from School of Economics at Peking University. They are going to share with us their deep thoughts and observations about green development and sustainable development. Now let's invite our first speaker, Dr. Li. Dr. Li's topic is From Concept to Action, How Beijing Practiced Green Olympics. Please.
Okay, thank you, Professor Wang. Good morning, good afternoon. It's really a great pleasure for me to be here. And also it's a very challenging time for me to be here because I only have 3 minutes, but I really have lots want to share. So I will begin my topic today. I think students from Shihezi University have shared the green practices of a city. So what I'm going to talk about is green practice in an event. Olympic Games. And we have seen Ding Dundun and Xie Rongrong Ambassador Martha's video. And so the stories is related to Beijing Winter Olympics. Since it's happened in this year, 2020, so I will call it Beijing 2020. And what I want to say is that, you know, Beijing 2020 or Winter Olympic Games is the very big important event in China, and it has integrated the China's new development philosophy and also United Nations Sustainable Development Goals into the hosting of the games. So maybe I will first introduce something related to China's new development philosophy to foreign friends. It includes innovative, coordinated, green, open, and shared development, which is consistent with UN SDGs. And based on this, Beijing 2022 has followed the principle of hosting a green, inclusive, open, and clean Olympics. You may say, it's very easy to say green, yes, but how to turn this into reality from conception to action? I think the stories below will tell. Beijing 2022 has established a sustainability management systems, which has integrated 3 international standards. Maybe it's difficult for you to understand, but I will try to explain. One is related to ISO 20121, it's related to event sustainability management. ISO 14,000, you may be familiar, is related to environment management, and also ISO 26,000. Is related to social responsibility. And for Green Olympics, in fact, Beijing 2022 has lots of great practices and they are very effective. The stories I want to share today is related to ecological conservation in venue construction and also low carbon management. We know that Beijing 2022 has achieved carbon neutrality. So for stories from Yan Qingzhou is to minimize the impact to animals and also plants during the construction of the venue. They have lots of great practices. One practice is, you know, the topsoil of the venue. They usually have lots of seeds, plant seeds, so it's very valuable for biodiversity. To protect the environment, to protect the plant, the topsoil has been stripped, collected, and preserved. And when the venue when we finish the construction of the venue, the topsoil will be recovered. So the local meadows will restored. So there are also many measures to protect animals. For example, set up of corridors for animals to pass through the venue. And for low carbon measurement, a student has talked about the new energy. So all venues and the relevant facilities for Beijing 2022 are powered by renewable energy. That's also from Zhang Jiakou. And there are also lots of low carbon technology innovation, which helps to reduce the carbon emission. For example, carbon dioxide refrigerant. We know we are trying to reduce carbon emission with mainly on carbon dioxide. Beijing 2022 use carbon dioxide as a refrigerator, which will not only reduce the carbon emission, but also will help to save or preserve the ozone layer, because we reduce the destruction of ozone layer. And I think the stories of Beijing 22, there are lots of such kind of great cases or great stories. And you know, they not only follow the international rules, international standards, but also there are lots of Chinese wisdoms and the solutions contribution. So I think the sustainability legacy of Beijing 2022 or Beijing Olympic Games, they belong not only to China, but also to the world. And we can share some great practices in this. So that's what I want to share, Professor Wang. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Li. Thank you for your sharing of Beijing Olympics experience in practicing Green Olympics. And actually, Dr. Li is a member of Beijing 2022 Sustainability Advisory Commission. So her shared story actually is from her, in-person and in-field experience as an advisory member. Thank you, Dr. Li. And next speaker is Dr. Sun Biyang. Dr. Sun is received her doctoral degree in sociology from Chinese University of Hong Kong and her master's degree in Asian and Middle East studies in University of Cambridge in the UK. Her research focuses on international development, sustainable development, and demographic transition. Her today's topic is is about striking a balance between development and the environment. Please, Dr. Sun.
Thank you, Professor Wang, for the introduction, and thank you very much for Professor Li. The story on the Chinese Olympic game is great. Here, I'm going to continue my thoughts on something related to Beijing. I'm going to share some of my thoughts on green economy and sustainable development, which has evolved from, it's my personal thoughts, which has evolved from everything's not that important except for environmental protection to striking a balance between economic development and environment. Just like many other Chinese, I did not realize the heavy pollution in China until 2015, the year when the famous documentary Under the Dome was released by Chai Jing, who was a famous Chinese journalist at that time. I heard the name PM 2.5 for the very first time in my life. Now we all know what that is. It stands for the air pollutant, that very tiny particles in the air that can be harmful to our health. I remember pulling out a photo I took next to the water cube in the year 2013. I saw there is a very foggy background in the photo. Rethinking the situation, I realized that it might not be fog, but actually air pollutants that has been causing my sore throat throughout the year. That was the time I stood firmly against environmental pollution. Luckily, the government in China responded to the situation very rapidly. Only several months after the documentary, the government already started several measures to reduce the emission. For example, in Beijing, the government helped to transform several heavily emitting factories to reach a higher standard of environmental level. Some factories also chose to re-establish in more remote areas with limited population so that it can achieve a higher standard. Today, we can see blue sky in Beijing almost every day, which is great. However, one day I start to think, so where did those people who originally worked for these factories go? What are they doing now? The other day, I was looking at my phone and a video popped up. There was a host interviewing several villagers. The village was next to an old cement factory. For years, the factory has been a major source of jobs for the whole village. However, due to increasing concerns over environmental pollution, and also the fact that many babies got sick in that village, partially due to the air pollution. Villagers started complaining. They no longer wanted the factories to continue operating because they want to protect their health. Their prolonged complaints eventually worked. The factory temporarily stopped to renovate its facilities. But the story did not really end there. Lacking the major source of income, all of a sudden, many male villagers from the village need to go out to find jobs to feed their families. However, since most of them are not highly educated, they could only find labor-intensive jobs in cities such as builders. The amount of money they earned remained just the same as their old jobs. However, we know that this time they are working thousands of miles away from their home. I remember in the interview, there was a female villager who expressed a very contradictory feeling. On one hand, she really wants to protect their health. On the other, she also wants to maintain the same level of income so that their family could live a good life. Now we come to the concept balanced development. For me, balanced development is never about foregoing economic environment. It's never about foregoing economic development for the environment. It's never about either one thing or another. The core of balanced development should be striking a balance between development and the environment. Only then we could call it a sustainable development. Our country is doing great in both environmental protection as well as poverty reduction. We know that the UN has released the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. We know we would love to share our experience and also learn from other countries. We could also work together to find out more smart methods to achieve more SDGs together, not at the expense of one goal over another. That's my thought. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sun, for sharing her observation about how Chinese communities were trying to balance between development and environment. And actually, Chinese experience to, get our overall, population, the majority of our population, to a considerable better off living standard, thinking about it, it's a 1.4 billion population. It's in human, history, it's unprecedented for such a large scale of development. And so it's a huge challenge for us to realize both, development and environmental protection. However, we did manage it very well. So if you in the future come to Beijing, and hopefully very soon future, you will see blue skies, white clouds, and that are the same as you see in Cyprus. So that is the huge efforts the Chinese people and the Chinese policymakers had made. So our next speaker, Ms. Su Pingyi, is from Peking University. She's a PhD candidate in economics. Her research interests are political economy of development, ecological economics, and environmental economics. And her topic is Chinese ecological civilization construction. And please, Pingyi.
Well, thanks for the introduction from Dr. Wang, and I have learned a lot from Dr. Li and Dr. Sun's speech. And dear friends, I sincerely appreciate this opportunity to share views with all the scholars and young friends on the topic of Chinese ecological civilization construction. And first, 3 questions are discussed today, just to set the ball rolling. First, why there is ecological civilization? In the 1860s, the Industrial Revolution first arose in Britain and later spread in the whole world. While enjoying the fruits of an industrial civilization, people had to face the increasingly serious problems of social inequality, resource constraints, and environmental damages. Industrial civilization includes the infinite extraction of resources from the ecosystem and a limited understanding of ecological resources. It has run into difficulty because of that, and we have to construct another civilization to achieve sustainable welfare improvement. Hence, there comes the ecological civilization. The concept of an ecological civilization regards the ecosystem as the mother system of the economic system, emphasizing the dependency of humankind on nature and discarding the idea of ultimate goal of pursue endless economic growth. And second, how does China construct ecological civilization? China recognized the weight of its environment problems at the national level for the first time in 1970s. And especially during the past 2 decades, China's formation of a vision of an ecological civilization has developed steadily. The past 3 national congresses of the Communist Party of China gradually stressed that the ecological civilization construction was the millennium goal for the sustainable development of the Chinese nation. And several days ago, the 20th National Congress again overemphasized the strategic position of ecological construction. China has taken numerous actions on the aspects of environmental governance, supervision and enforcement, and social acceptance by formulating strategies and plans, issuing and amending laws. Finally, what should countries do to achieve global ecological civilization? In 2017, China issued guidance and plan on promoting Green Belt and Road, which established as many as 25 key projects under this framework. This shows China's sincerity and willingness to promote international cooperation and join hands with other countries in building a desired ecological civilization. As a good friend and a close partner of China, Cyprus also began a process moving to low carbon economy and green development in related years. In this context, the 2 countries have the same goal towards green and sustainable development and should expanded areas of trade cooperation and international market together. Not only for China and Cyprus, but for the whole world. We are at a turning point of transformation from industrial civilization to ecological civilization. To be more detailed, a turning point where the contradiction of sustainable development is changing from local environmental externality to global ecological constraints. All in all, many hands make light work, so we should work together towards a future of sustainable development and win-win results. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ping, for your very thoughtful observation about ecological philosophy in our green development role. Now let me turn the floor to our speakers from Cyprus. Hello, Mariana and Sophia, are you there?
Yes. What an all-star session in China. Thank you very much. I would like to invite Mrs. Marina Neofitu, Mrs. Irojima, Mrs. Marina Nicolaou, Mrs. Katerina Kyriakou, and last, Mr. Stefanos Haralambous on the stage.
She's first. Marina is first, and then she's first. So she's first. So now let's welcome our first young representative here in Nicosia, Mrs. Marina Nicolaou. She's the representative of Limassol constituency under the banner of AKEL, Left New Forces. Please start whenever you are ready.
Thank you very much, dear Ambassador, dear guests. Ladies and gentlemen, the alarming climate realities we're experiencing from Nicosia to Beijing and all around the world emphasize the need to intensify efforts towards achieving sustainable development. Establishing the necessary political and socio-economic conditions will lead to stability, economic growth, and environment preservation is the only way forward. Today, more than 1.8 billion people are between the ages of 10 to 24, constituting the largest generation of youth in history. Connected to each other like never before, young people already contribute to the resilience of their communities, proposing innovative solutions, driving social progress, and inspiring political change. Young people also serve as representatives of change, mobilizing to take forward the sustainable development goals and improve the lives of people and the health of the planet. Provided with the necessary skills and opportunities required to reach their potential, young people can become a driving force for supporting development and contributing to peace and security. They need to be supported and empowered to contribute in translating the 2030 agenda into local, national, and regional reality. Young people play a significant role in the implementation, monitoring, and evaluation of the agenda, as well as in holding governments accountable. With political commitment and adequate resources, young people have the power to make the most effective transformation of the world into a better place for all. Due to their inclusive and interlinked nature, SDGs should stand as the basis on which new recovery strategies are developed. Not only address the current global health and climate crisis, but also persisting imbalances that prevent our world from being fully sustainable, fair, and equal. While the climate crisis is intensifying also in the Mediterranean region, the need to enhance resilience is imperative, which entails reevaluation, reorientation, and transformation. Moreover, the link between climate change and human rights is evident. Young people have the same right to a healthy planet as generations before them. They have the right to development through sustainable pathways in line with national goals. Instead, their livelihoods are being destroyed by a warming planet, the loss of biodiversity, droughts, the extreme weather events, resulting in more suffering, more vulnerability, more displacement, and greater possibility of conflicts. That is why today's youth must and can be the generation that breaks the chain of environmental deterioration to move towards a more sustainable path, leaving no one behind. We must all contribute our share towards the fulfillment of our common vision of a more sustainable world for present and future generations. Governments, parliaments, businesses, social partners, non-governmental organizations, and every single citizen must join forces in order to achieve our ambitions across the full extent of the 2030 agenda and towards achieving sustainable growth and prosperity. Thank you very much. And I truly apologize that I have to leave because I have another meeting now in the parliament. I am a member of the parliament. I'm also a member of the Central Committee of AKEL. And I hope that I wish the best success to your work today. Thank you very much in advance.
Thank you so much. So our next speaker is Mrs. Marina Neofitou, professor at the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering at the University of Cyprus.
Thank you very much for the introduction. May I take the opportunity to welcome all of you Thank you very much for this excellent initiative, Your Excellencies and distinguished guests. It's a great pleasure and honor to be here and have this opportunity to share a few thoughts with you. And given the title of the forum, the title of my short presentation or briefing is the importance of the big and small in climate change. And the reason I chose this subject is because I believe it's very important first to believe in the change, in what we do in order to cause a change, a result. So, because I get to hear a lot, very frequently, the question around why is it important for Cyprus to go into this whole transformation to reduce greenhouse gases, since it is such a small country, an island, and since its contribution to the global greenhouse gases could be considered in the limits of statistical error. One question is this, that I hope to address and answer to convince our youth the importance of making an action on this. And the second question I would like to address in this short 3-minute talk is how fair is it to expect a small country like Cyprus to go through all this transformation of its economy in order to adapt to climate change, since one could argue that the consequences are disproportional, the consequences on its climate are disproportional compared to its cost, its contribution. In order to address the last question, I believe first we need to be very clear, very definite on what values, on what value system we want to serve. Do we want to serve transgenerational justice to provide the same rights to the next generations? Do we want to build peace? Do we want to keep the same human rights for access to a clean environment, a clean, a healthy climate? I think these are very important questions to clarify in our minds, in our value system before considering anything else. And I'm going back to the first question, which addresses the importance of big and small in climate change and why do we need, all of us need to take action. First, let me clarify that climate is not only global. Climate is also local. And what we are going to experience as humans, as citizens, walking in our streets, living in our cities, is a climate which consists both of global and local components. Actually, we find research in the University of Cyprus finds that the temperature change that we will experience in the streets of Nicosia in 2050 will not be just 1.5 degrees, even if we manage to keep the global 1.5. Actually, it is 3 degrees Celsius. So actually, the contribution of the local compared to the global, it's equal. And this is what we are going to experience as humans, as people. So it's very important. The role of the local citizens is very important and impacts their own lives. Perhaps the actions taken in Cyprus will not be as much sense to our colleagues in China as their actions in China in Cyprus. But definitely it's of crucial importance that people take action because, first of all, it affects themselves. And in the case of Cyprus, half of what we are going to experience is due to our local actions. And what I mean local actions, actually, it's found that around 50% of the local greenhouse emissions is due to transportation. So we need to work on public transport, promoting public transportation, but also how we build our cities, how green our cities in terms of trees, plants, how do we build our houses, what kind of materials, our roads, For example, in the research at the University of Cyprus, we found that if we change the materials of the asphalt in the roads, we can reduce the temperature that we sense in the summer by almost 5 degrees Celsius locally around our sphere. So there are definitely many reasons and important reasons for taking immediate action for climate change for Cyprus. We are equally responsible for the climate we will gonna sense and experience. And that's why it's very important. So I think I have overused my 3 minutes, but this is what I wanted to clarify. Actually, another short clarification that I would like to make, because in Cyprus we experience a lot of temperature changes during day and night, as most of you experience, especially in the summer. And maybe a lot of you wonder, what is 1.5 degrees? It's nothing compared to the variations we experience during a night in Nicosia and the midday in Nicosia. This is actually the average temperature globally over a year. So it's very important if we translate these changes into what they really mean in real life. It's something completely different. It's about 3 degrees, and for Cyprus, which is a hot spot in the global sphere. And if we translate that also into the variations, diurnal variations, what we currently experience, I'm gonna exacerbate even further. We're gonna be exposed in much stronger heat stresses, and actually epidemiological studies that we conducted, actually a student here that yesterday defended his PhD thesis, and what I'm reporting here are results from his thesis. Dr. Nestoras Antoniou is here. Reported that actually the mortality in 2015 because of the local climate change is going to change by 2.5 times, 2.5 times. So this is these are very actually concrete results based on scientific studies. It's not just talking, and so this is what I want to pass the message of the importance to act upon climate change, believe in what we are doing, and I think I leave the rest on our individual conscience. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Really inspiring. It's true. We all have to take actions, as the climate change will affect first our local community. So now I would like to give the microphone to Mrs. Irojima, Special Scientist of Project Supporting at the School of Modern Greek at University of Cyprus.
Thank you. Your Excellency, Mr. Liu Yantiao, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, hello everyone, Nin hao. My name is Irojima and I'm a teacher of Greek, representative of the School of Modern Greek at the University of Cyprus, where I work as a special scientist of project supporting. The topic I share with you today is green life. I believe that although not everyone can become an expert in fields such as solar energy and climate change, green living is indeed related to everyone. And energy saving and environmental protection should start from every detail of our life. If we want to protect our planet, we need to rely more on the efforts of ordinary people. I have been living and working in Cyprus for 4 years, and I realized that there is a major concern for the transformation and upgrading of green industries. As an island in the Mediterranean Sea, Cyprus has unique advantages. As we all know, Cyprus has the sunny weather almost all year round, and the prospect of solar energy utilization is very promising. We can see solar-powered appliances on the roof of almost every house. Now I also see the current buses on the city roads, some of them from China, are powered by new energy. This shows that China and Cyprus can fully cooperate can fully cooperate, and not only Cyprus, but also in Greece, my home country. China has also cooperated in many Greek green industries, such as the wind power generation project on Crete. For China and the European countries, this kind of cooperation is beneficial in terms of economy, and it is even advantageous to all mankind in terms of ecological protection. Before concluding my speech, I would like to refer my story between me and China, basically Chinese people, which dates back to 2015. I am also a witness of the youth exchange between China and Greek ethnicity. As a Greek teacher 7 years ago, I was teaching Greek to 24 Chinese students in the University of Ioannina, and I spent 2 years with them almost every day. According to my experience with these lovely Chinese students, I understood from the beginning how humble they are, always polite, smart, and really hardworking. They quickly mastered the Greek language and the Greek culture, as they were almost proficient and with a very high level of knowledge of the Greek language, both spoken and written, in less than 3 years. I am very proud of my students, especially for Konstantinos Wang. It was me who gave him the name Konstantinos in our first class, and he was really enthusiastic about it. He's now working as a diplomat in the Chinese embassy in Cyprus. Lastly, my Chinese students inspired me to learn Chinese, a language that I started 3 years ago in the Confucius Institute of the University of Cyprus. I feel very honored to be here with you today, and I would like to thank the China-Cyprus Youth Forum for giving me this opportunity and inviting me. CSCNIN. I hope that there will be more and more exchange activities with young groups like this. I close with one of my favorite Chinese sayings, San Ren Sing Bi Yo Wo Shu. We can always learn something from others. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very nice Chinese. Now, I would like to welcome our next speaker, is Mrs. Katerina Kyriakou. She is a member of International Department of DC. Please proceed.
Thank you. Dear guests, dear excellencies, first of all, I want to thank you all for the organization of today's excellent event. It's really important to see that us youth actors, because speaking for myself, I'm not here to speak as an academic or as a scientist. We've been hearing some very interesting points. It's frightening, to be honest, to see the real impact, as we said, of years of destruction of the environment brought upon us today, where we realize how serious this problem is and how the call of action has arrived. I'd like to start us off with some general information. I've been researching the Sustainable Development Report for 2022, and I want to stand on a very important point, highlighting the need for a global plan to finance the Sustainable Development Goals. We all know that we have the SDGs, we should follow them and take action upon them, but many times the issue here is the money. So where do we get this money, and how financially resilient we are to implement these policy initiatives that we should take? So I would request attention on this matter. And some of the answers provided within the report as regards this matter is that we should invest and have priorities for societal transformations in order to achieve these SDGs. There are certain investment priorities like education and social protection, achieving universal and secondary education, achieving a health system that ends officially the pandemic and achieving universal health coverage, zero carbon energy and the circular economy to decarbonize and slash pollution, which is something that has been implemented quite effectively by China, setting the example, sustainable food, land use and protection of biodiversity, investing in sustainable urban infrastructure that includes housing, public transport, universal digital services to support the other SDG investments, including online education, e-payments, and e-financing, e-government services, which is something that we have started initiating in the past few years. As regards Cyprus and China, though, there is room for improvement on the matter. The SDG index for 2022 ranks Cyprus as 43rd, with a score of 74.2, and for China, 56th, with a score of 72.4. So as you can see, definitely there is room for further improvement. Importantly enough, in the SDG dashboard for Eastern Europe and Central Asia, you have Cyprus improving in areas of poverty reduction, reducing inequalities in education. However, there are significant challenges remaining in areas of the climate action, sustainable production and consumption, and something I personally find interesting, the partnerships for the goals. So here we see that the extent of cooperation is really important to achieve the goals. This is an area for consideration, which in my opinion needs further determination and focus from the state, even though we see government efforts towards the goal increasing throughout the years. Definitely we need political willingness to determine and achieve the goals. We are amidst several crises, so this is a difficult task. The pandemic spillover effects, of course, posing a great challenge towards the state, an energy and global food crisis, and the war in Ukraine, of course. These are not easy times, especially for youth. And I'm happy to say that government efforts have been increasing towards achieving sustainable development in Cyprus. Of course, we must continue our efforts to put pressure on the matter as youth, with more participation, involvement, as well as policy initiatives. Of course, this needs to be backed by a powerful state, by an experienced government, which is financially responsible, in order to implement the policies needed. This is not the time for experimentation or putting our capabilities as a nation to a test. I want to highlight also the importance of individual action. No matter how strict the state is on reform and restructuring towards a greener environment, each and every individual can affect the overall outcome and sustainability. So we must incorporate within our culture. So I'm happy to see that the next panel is on culture. We must incorporate within our values that each member of society must be more involved in the process of sustainable development. Recycling, reducing waste, reforestation, which I'm happy to say that a really important initiative has been created in recent times, where as a political party, we have been forwarding a project of planting 1 million trees across Cyprus, which you might say is not something large, but it's a step towards a direction. And I'm really happy to say that youth actors are definitely involved in this process, which is something really important for us. Reducing pollution, these are steps that everyone should take. So what we want to highlight here is that, yes, government action is important and policy initiatives, but we must be more involved in the direction. We must forward our ideas as youth forward to the government. We must create programs, create projects that are to do with sustainable development. Of course, the most important is that the direct beneficiaries of a green future will be youth. So they must be involved in this project. For Cyprus, a really important finding in the report was renewable energy resources. Solar panels, solar technology is gradually being achieved, but of course, achieving energy independence, given the Russian invasion against Ukraine, which represented, of course, a massive exit from the use of imported oil and gas, is really important for us as a country. EU actions, of course, have initiated their efforts to achieve energy independence via renewables. So we must shift our attention towards this direction. Our aim as Cyprus is to become a green and tech island, which is energy independent and efficient. Measures to reduce regional inequalities from the government have also been taken. This is, again, really important, especially for the youth sector. The state has been giving grants and subsidies for young individuals to build homes in villages in Cyprus and start their own small-scale business. As regards sustainable cities and communities, of course, there is room for improvement for Cyprus. More pressure should be put, for example, through building green buildings and vertical cities, which is something achieved in a very successful manner in China. On the topic of responsible consumption and production, again, I believe this is linked with cultural awareness and responsibility we have as human beings towards the environment, embracing the meaning and effect of sustainable development and the importance of increasing education on the topic from childhood to adulthood, as well as more intercultural communication and the mutual exchange of knowledge to set examples. And further initiatives definitely should be followed to mitigate the extreme weather conditions we have been facing in recent years, increasing recycling, reducing pollution, and of course, becoming in general a more eco-friendly island. Another thing that I want to conclude with is that it's very important for us in order to achieve these sustainable development goals as a nation and a greener society is to establish strong partnerships. We need to increase cooperation through intercultural dialogue and initiate joint projects and programs with various countries. So this initiative being forwarded today is really important for us as a nation. We need to take examples, increase our knowledge, and I want to thank you again for giving us the opportunity to being here today with you and learning so many things that we are hoping that will help us towards a greener future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Katerina Kyriakou. Your speech was very inspiring. So the last speaker in session 1 is Stefanos Haralambous, student of Department of Law at the University of Cyprus. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, fellow students. Thank you for being here today, because by being here today, you show that you truly care and that our future matters. Showing up is the first step to creating change. Promoting sustainable development for a green future is no longer just an option. It is our only option. But not all hope is lost, because every day on social media and news around us, young, bright individuals walk amongst us and show that we can't become more sustainable. We can't do what the past generations did not do, become green. And for House of the Dragons fans, I don't know if there are any of you amongst us, by being green, I do not mean supporting the high towers, but I mean green as in becoming more sustainable. And with COP27 underway, it is an excellent time and opportunity to discuss whether our future will truly be green. Our leaders represent us. They are there to serve us and not the other way around. But let us talk briefly about renewable energy sources. China is the world's leading country in renewable energy electricity production as of the report of 2019. And it has over tripled the generation of the second ranking country in the world, the United States of America. I myself am very interested in this, as I am currently working on my thesis, which is the renewable energy sector in the European Union and the free movement of goods. It seems that the EU and Cyprus do have some catching up to do. And as we've heard from around us, the other speakers, this will be significant for our local communities as well. It is not something general that we should only talk lightly about. So what is being done today? The Renewable Energy Directive, recast of 2018, has now had a legally binding effect in all 27 member states of the EU as of August 2021, meaning that EU member states have an obligation under law, under EU law, to take initiatives to promote renewable energy sources and achieve these goals, because we need in the European Union and in Europe as a continent more renewable energy sources. We aim and we strive to become a leader in the renewable energy sector, and without everyone's cooperation, we cannot achieve this. Cyprus specifically could also become a leader in the production of renewable energy if only we stop holding back. Currently, until very recently, the island has been powered almost exclusively by heavy fuel oil and limited renewable energy sources, as well as natural gas. Our sun, which we're very well known for abroad, has not been used to its maximum extent as it should have been from years ago, decades ago even. So the University of Cyprus already has a solar park named Phaethon and is in the works of creating a second one in the gray zone with the UN, which will be called Apollo, and it will hopefully eventually be able to provide up to 60% of the energy needed to help the university function, which is a very big step. And I'm grateful to my university for taking these steps and ensuring that my future and the future generations' future will be sustainable and that it will exist, as a matter of fact. But of course, I'm sure many of us young people are wondering, so, we're really young, what can we do actually to impact these decisions that are being taken by older people? And aside from voting and so on, there are steps that we can take. We can impact policy making, because policy is what is leading to change. So firstly, our university helped me and supported me in founding the University of Cyprus Model United Nations, and always in that conference, we have a topic relating to environment and renewable energy sources. So I'll be very happy to see you all participate in that. And secondly, the UN in Cyprus has a new initiative called the UN Youth Champions for Environment and Peace, which again, you can sign up to and impact policymaking in Cyprus and internationally. And finally, conferences such as Alcoy, the first local conference of youth on climate change in Cyprus, of which the results were sent and are being discussed in Egypt right now. We as the youth should not and cannot give up. It is our future we are discussing and debating on, and we cannot be sole watchers. We have to be actors. Once again, thank you all for being today here and for inviting the youth to participate, because youth representation and youth participation are two very different things, and they should be merged. Thank you.
Thank you, Stefan Saralambos. For sure, young people can do a lot, and through the platforms of the university can do more. So thank you all for sharing. It's time for our first Q&A session to begin. I'm sure that the audiences here in Nicosia have some questions for the young representatives in Beijing and Xinjiang. So please feel free to raise your hand and make some question to our speakers in China. Is there any question? You can also make a question. Yes.
Or a comment.
Okay, sure.
I just wanted to make a comment, and hoping that this will initiate also encourage further questions or the discussion, comments for discussion. I would like to comment on a point raised earlier by Mrs. Katerina Kyriakou about vertical development or different aspects of the so-called green development in different countries. It's very important, exactly because of the reasons I mentioned earlier, that climate is also local, in the sense that what we experience as citizens is an interaction between global and local components. Design policies and design of cities needs to come out of specific consideration for each country, taking into account all the specialities of the country. So although there are generic aspects in what we consider in the criteria, it's very important to take into account what are the specifics of each country and what does our thinking leads us to specific solutions. So it's not always very easy or applicable to copy-paste solutions. For example, something that came very recently to our knowledge from research, planting trees is really an ancient wisdom, and it's it works very efficiently. But we find out that after a certain temperature degree, trees behave in an opposite way. So we need to be meaning that they increase humidity in the environment. They do not take as much heat as we need. So the point I want to raise is that we need to derive special solutions for each country, but the considerations are global. This was my point. Thank you.
Okay, so if you don't have any other questions or something else to add, we can move to the Q&A session in Beijing. Professor Chen, back to you. Oh, Professor.
Hello. Hello, Mariana and Sophia. May I take a question from our floor?
Yes. Please.
So any questions from the floor?
My question is, are there any visible impacts of climate change on Cyprus? And could you give us some examples of such? And what are most young people's concerns regarding climate change in Cyprus? That's my question. Thank you.
So, can you please repeat the question?
The question is, are there any visible signs of climate change in Cyprus? And what are the young people's concerns regarding to climate change consequences? Thank you.
So is there any one of you that wants to answer the question?
Maybe I can help a bit on that. Of course, it depends. So you can't answer a one way towards this question, but as regards Cyprus, definitely the extreme weather conditions are something that is highly visible, not only from youth actors, but from everyone. So this is an area of concern for us. But just to also comment on the questions held before, the reason I mentioned the Sustainable Development Report is because I think it gives a good display of what has been mentioned on a country-by-country basis. Because again, each country, it might aim towards sustainable development, but on a country-by-country specific basis, you have some specific problems and some different policies that we must forward, even though setting an example is important for us. But I think that for Cyprus, definitely we should take more attention on climate action. I think we should do more on the topic of reducing pollution and increasing recycling, because it's not something, unfortunately, that we're in general sensitive as a nation. So I think it's something that we should work on and increase within our cultural values in order to be able to address this across all age ranges, of course. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Katerina Kyriakou.
Thank you. I think due to the time budget is overrun, so I just want maybe we can save the question to another time. And so I think that's all for the questionnaire from Beijing floor. Mariana and Sophia.
Thank you all for your participation. Let's have a small break and come back with the second session. You can find coffee and snacks outside the room.
我们休息环节到了，在外面有茶水、咖啡和小吃为大家提供，一会儿见。
In a few minutes, please.
Yes. Okay. Our second session is about to begin. Please join us and take your seats.
Welcome back. Let's get into the second part of discussion. Our second topic has the title, Promote Traditional Cultures to Address Current Challenges. Traditional culture is for sure a very important element for the development of the countries and influences the way the people are facing the challenges. Next, let's see what the young representatives from Beijing have to share with us for this topic. First of all, let's watch a video from UIB.
We bring not warships or artillery, but friendship and ships loaded with treasure. As we pursue peace, not battle horses or long spears, but camel caravanserai, goodwill. Not a debt trap or regional hegemony, but sincerity and mutual benefit. As we seek cooperation, overcoming hardships and difficulties, striving for mutual learning among civilizations, as we hope for harmonious coexistence. After thousands of years of history, cherishing peace is engraved on the Chinese soul. In the face of disasters and uncertainties, we protect our home planet together. Because the destinies of mankind are inextricably linked. Harmony in diversity. Humanity as one.
中国将继续做世界和平的建设者、全球发展的贡献者、国际秩序的维护者。
Thank you, very nice video. As we all know, Cyprus provides many opportunities to experience something new, interesting, and exciting, including activities, events, customs, and places that are unique and special to the island. Let's enjoy a video about Cyprus, the island we all love.
Touch me. With the sound of leaves over rivers dancing on black rocks. Embrace me. With the smell of jasmine climbing on wooden balconies. Surround me, with your voice echoing over ancient theaters, reaching the sea, and returning as a wave at the harbor. Uncover your secrets, unearth your truth, unfold your soul. Lift me in your arms and let me fall. In love with the island that has no end.
Thank you. So now let's give the floor to Beijing and listen what the young representatives from China has to say.
Thank you, Sophia and Mariana. Thank you for showing the videos. These videos just reminded us that, you know, the two civilizations, the Chinese civilization and Cyprus civilization, and though we are far apart, you know, for thousands of miles, but we are so close, as you know, we are connected by the internet and the modern technology. So we can, you know, we can now see face to face, meet, you know, in the same conference, and you know, hear each other crystal clear. And also, you know, the two civilizations, though they have, you know, had thousands of years history, but we still, you know, have them so much alive in our lives. Like the Chinese Confucianism, though they were born over 2,000 years ago, and the Chinese literature, Chinese poetry, they were popular 1,400 years ago, and they are still households literature in modern China. So today we have three young speakers from Beijing to talk about how to inherit our cultural heritage better, and to, you know, make our modern life more beautiful, and also how can we, you know, connect different civilizations, different culture from different parts of the world. And today we are talking about how to bridge China and Cyprus cultures. Now let's invite our first speaker, Mr. Han Xiao. Han Xiao got his degree, PhD degree in literature from Peking University. He's now an assistant professor and master's tutor in the School of Chinese Language and Literature at UIBE. And his specialization is Chinese Asian literature. And today his talk is the publication of excellent Chinese traditional culture in modern times. Please, Professor Han.
Thank you. Distinguished experts, students, and friends, as you may have noticed, the excellent Chinese traditional culture was written in the newly revised Constitution of CPC, adopted at the 20th National Congress. Broadly speaking, the excellent Chinese traditional culture consists of three parts. The first part, traditional virtues, kindness, honesty, diligence, and so on. The second part, traditional knowledge, history, philosophy, literature, math, and technology. The third part, traditional arts, calligraphy, painting, drama, chess, and so on. What characteristic of the three parts make them play a more important role in our modern life? Firstly, traditional virtues conform to the purest goodness of human nature. It promotes truth, goodness, and beauty. Encourage people to be hardworking and brave, love peace, be self-improvement, pursue and create a good life, maintain the most harmonious relationship between man and man, man and society, man and the universe. Thus can continue to shape and lead human values. Secondly, traditional knowledge is concerned with the purest pursuits of the people. It has always ensured that it has a broad mind space and always serves people's production process and livelihood. The philosophy of Confucius has guided the direction of human civilization in the 21st century. Chinese medicine has treated new diseases and safeguarded human health, all of which are concrete manifestations of the vitality of traditional knowledge. Thirdly, traditional arts can nourish people's soul. With the faster life pace, more and more people's spiritual world is in play. A report from the Licent pointed out 5% of the world people suffer from depression every year. And the rate is particularly high among young people. As we know, traditional arts is a good choice to heal the emptiness and pain of the spiritual world. So with the traditional culture, the life and the world will be better. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Han. Actually, throughout human history, we have been pursuing the virtue of humankind, the beauty and the tranquility and peace, for our life and with our human relations and our relation with nature. So these perpetual topics are still very, still the cornerstone, the foundation for our modern life. Okay. Next speaker, Ms. Wang Lei, a second year's postgraduate from School of International Studies at UIBE. She will talk about an innovative inheritance of Chinese traditional philosophy through the lens of Tai Chi, which is a historic sport in China. And please, Wang Lei.
Thanks for introduction. Hello, everyone. As Mr. Han has given a comprehensive introduction of the content of traditional Chinese culture, I'd like to narrow my scope to start my speech with traditional Chinese sport, Tai Chi. In my postgraduate entrance examination interview, the teacher once asked me, "What's your opinion for Tai Chi being inscribed in the UNESCO list of intangible cultural heritage in 2020? At that time, imagining the action of Tai Chi and the Chinese element it could embody, I provide several points. For one thing, being accessible to all people without the requirement for specific sport grounds and equipment. Tai Chi embodies inclusiveness. Just like the Tai Chi logo features the integration of black and white rather than either black or white. For another, compared to some modern competitive sport which emphasize confrontation, Tai Chi with promoting serenity through gentle flowing movement, just combine toughness with softness to strive some balance, implicating a peaceful power. All in all these just demonstrate a Chinese culture of harmony with keeping difference. To date, the world has witnessed an increasing volatile global landscape, featuring geopolitical relations, global supply chain crisis, complex climate emergency, and so on. It seems we are living in a world with permeating non-traditional security issues, which require coordinated response. Meanwhile, some new ideas about global governance continues to emerge, just like the concept of a community with a shared future for mankind by President Xi. And now I realize that this concept just echoes Tai Chi and the philosophy within it, or it's an inheritance of this philosophy. So we can find that despite not providing specific solutions to current challenges, it inspires us about how to deal with current differences and conflicts in global world. And also, for example, the difference should not be a barrier for cooperation, but instead it could be an approach for mutual learning. And also, just like we could find the black and the white constitute a complete Tai Chi logo. Force and weapon are not the sole solution to resolve conflict, just like the gentle flowing movement of Tai Chi could contain massive power. So being an English major, I marvel at the humanistic thought and philosophy in Western Marine civilization. Also, I'm proud of the wisdom of Chinese culture and enjoying the travel between Western and Chinese culture. As culture blooms in the process of inheritance and communication, I believe with increasing people-to-people exchange between China and Cyprus, more wisdom and solutions could be accessible in response to current challenges. Yeah, that's all. Thanks.
Thank you, Wang Lei, for sharing your understanding of the Chinese traditional Tai Chi sport. Actually, Tai Chi is the embodiment, a typical embodiment of Chinese culture, which combines diversity into integrate diversity into harmony and difference, with difference with complementation, and it's a very, very profound knowledge, which also I need to spend more time to learn. And next speaker is Sarah Matz. Sarah Matz is a German student from the Free University of Berlin, and now studying sinology at Peking University. And Sarah's interests are Chinese and European culture and art. And Sarah will talk about the importance of cultural communication today. Sarah, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I'm honored to be here today and to have been given this chance to participate at this forum. Now living in China and having been to Cyprus as a child, I'm mesmerized by the cultural diversity and openness that each nation displays. Therefore, I will focus today's topic on stressing the importance of cultural communication. China and Cyprus have shared similar paths in history, both in ancient as well as in modern times. Both were often in defensive conflicts with outside forces which have tried to undermine their target country's integrity. But even when at great disadvantage, both China and Cyprus were able to triumph in the face of adversity. Each country's struggle throughout history has shaped an exceptional people with rich culture, unique traditions, and strong mindsets that emanate from its people and state today. It is not surprising then that the collaboration of all states has yielded innumerable fruitful results in recent years. This is not a common heritage among nations, but those that do share this heritage are able to understand each other in the deepest of ways. While developing rapidly, their people and government have not lost sight of their roots and the wisdoms of their ancestors. No, on the contrary, their cultures and traditions have helped guide these developmental transitions to operate in a socially acceptable and agreeable format. Active engagement in new cultures is a key for sustainable, peaceful, and enriching development. So, through my own experience, let me put forward the argument that learning the language of another culture is what enables you to engage yourself into the Chinese or Cypriot community and at the same time reflect on your own culture. Differences may always leave space for misunderstandings, but this is exactly why we need to stress the importance of promoting each other's cultures. So not to disturb or work against culture, but letting culture enhance and strengthen the developmental progress, thus creating an economy that can withstand any outside interferences. And this is why your contribution is of the utmost value for Cyprus and China. So thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Cultural communication is so important among cultures, particularly in a time of highly globalized village. And our global planet Earth actually is a small village now. And I personally is a bilingual list. I speak both Chinese and English. Actually, you know, the more I learn, you know, from different people who speak Chinese and English, the more I find that we are just the same. After all, we are human beings, and we share all the same virtues and the same features, but in a different formalities. And, you know, that's the essence of our, you know, diversity and commonality. And therefore, communication is vital and for us to learn from each other, grow, and, you know, stronger as we know each other better. Now, let me turn our floor to Mr. Chen from Shihezi, Xinjiang, okay, to listen to young people's ideas. Mr. Chen, are you there?
Thank you, Professor Wang. And I do agree with you that communication is of great importance to us, particularly among young people. And as you may know, we are living here in Xinjiang. It actually has a very rich and profound cultural and historical heritage. Actually, on this vast land, it's become the hub for the interaction between the Eastern civilization and the Western civilizations. Actually, as time goes by, we have a kind of unique culture with distinctive geographic and ethnic features. And in modern era, we have made great efforts to promote and inherit the traditional cultures in local region of all ethnic groups. And the Shenzhen University has been shouldered the responsibility of promoting and inheriting excellent traditional cultures. And now we are going to hear the voice of two speakers from Shenzhen University. First, we'd like to give the floor to Ms. Liu Xiaojiao, my colleague in Shenzhen University. Please.
Thank you for your introduction, Mr. Chen. Hello, everyone. My name is Liu Xiaojiao. I'm from Shenzhen University in Xinjiang. And today I want to share with you the influence of Chinese language and also the spirit of ancient land Silk Road and also the Belt and Road Initiative in the 21st century. It's a great pleasure to meet you guys and a great honor for me to speak here. As we all know, traditional culture is a vivid embodiment of civilization. Traditional culture, traditional Chinese culture, which has been passed on and developed for 5,000 years in the long history, is not only concentrated embodiment of China's coherent vitality and influence, but also has exerted a profound influence on the world in a more basic, lasting, and deeper way. In March 2021, I met an Indian student named Eddie, who enthusiastically discussed Chinese culture with me. When I asked him why he was so fascinated about the Chinese culture, he told me, the Chinese people have a unique understanding of life. I became extremely interested in Chinese culture because of the Chinese language teaching at the Confucius Institute. Here you can see the charm of Chinese language and also the Chinese language teaching at the Confucius Institute. This makes me think of the ancient Silk Road. Xinjiang, located in the China's northwestern border, was a stronghold on the ancient Silk Road. A Silk Road used to stretch along the foot of the Tian Shan Mountains. Looking back at the history, the camel bells sounded by the caravans loaded with silk and tea faintly echoed in my ears. The Silk Road is not only a road for business exchanges and mutually beneficial cooperation, but also a road for cultural exchanges and dialogue among different civilizations. In ancient times, Xinjiang opened its doors to peaceful people, provided them with resources needed to travel, tolerated beliefs and cultures different from their own, and even exchanged ways and learned from each other. Various ethnic groups, religions, cultures, and art forms took root and blossomed on the land of Xinjiang, which has continued to this day. In the autumn 2013, the President Xi Jinping put forward the Belt and Road Initiative, in which the Silk Road economic belt borrowed the historical and cultural symbols of ancient land Silk Road, hoping to form a community of interests, a community of responsibility, and a community of destiny, with the countries along the lines through cooperation in a peaceful way. A Silk Road also witnessed the inheritance and innovation of traditional Chinese culture, and carried the wisdom and emotion of civilization between China and the world. Ladies and gentlemen, friends from Cyprus, let's build a spiritual bridge from the youth of China and the world through Chinese language. Let us constantly strengthen exchanges in the field of traditional culture, jointly cope with various modernization challenges, and to build a community with a shared future for mankind through our contributions and efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Liu. I think, the bridge have been found. That is today's forum. And next, I would like to give the floor to the next speaker, Mr. Wang Xinxiang, a PhD from Shenzhen University. Please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, Nicosia. My name is Wang Xinxiang from Shenzhen University in Xinjiang. Culture is the soul and core of the country and nation. For thousands of years, excellent traditional Chinese culture has been developing and innovating without stop. Just like the splendid culture and long history of Cyprus. Chinese culture is characterized by inclusiveness and diversity. A new lease of life was given by mutual learning through exchanges and communications. As the nexus of Eastern and Western diverse cultures, Xinjiang has developed a unique regional and ethnic cultures. In the arms of the Chinese civilization, cultures of different ethnic groups in Xinjiang have embraced and learned from each other, jointly becoming a part of the diverse and integrated Chinese culture. In the traditional Uyghur embroidery in Hami, my hometown in Xinjiang, a classical pattern has existed for a long time, just like lotus, plum, pomegranate, and other gorgeous flowers growing on the same branch. In my view, different ethnic culture of Xinjiang are the pomegranate and plum flowers, which are in full bloom, while the Chinese culture is a branch that constantly nurtures them. Profound, splendid Chinese culture benefits the traditional culture of different ethnic groups in Xinjiang. The word intangible cultural heritage such as Mukam, Metlab, and Manas represents the rich local culture of different ethnic groups, which embodies the Chinese value and spirit of Chinese people. At present, traditional Chinese culture is entail new value and significance. As a Chinese young man in the new times, I'm very happy to spread the stories of excellent traditional Chinese culture to all over the world. I sincerely hope that you can visit China and Xinjiang, tell the story of China in your own way. I hope that we can enhance mutual understanding, deepen friendship, and growing together through mutual learning, and dedicate to promoting a human community with shared future with young's power. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wang. I believe that your dream will come true. Anyway, the future lies in your hands of the younger generation. And we'd like to hear more about how to promote the traditional cultures in Cyprus. So let's get back to Mariana Sophia, please.
Thank you all for sharing. We learned a lot about the culture and the influence it has to our lives. So now I think it's time for our young representatives here in Nicosia to share their opinion about this matter. I would like to invite Mrs. Margot Neger, Mr. Petros Petrikos, Mr. Pieris Houridis, and Mr. Stavros Agathou, and also Mr. Marios Mougis on the stage. Okay, we will start with Mrs. Margot Neger, Assistant Professor at the Department of Classical Studies and Philosophy at the University of Cyprus. Mrs. Neger, please.
Organizers, thank you so much for inviting me here to this wonderful event. And let me take you for the next few minutes to the ancient world, the ancient Greek and Latin world. How do we communicate, and how did societies in the past communicate? What benefits do we gain from studying ancient letter correspondence? What can we learn from it in order to address current challenges? One of the many benefits of studying this subject are insights into the ways how earlier societies experienced communication. Whereas nowadays, we have the technical means to communicate via social media and live stream tools in real time and over a large distance as today, ancient societies did not have the same possibilities. Their communication over a distance was often marked by slowness and delay, a problem of which ancient Greek and Latin letter writers often complain about in their texts. From Greco-Roman antiquity, a large number of letters and a variety of epistolary corpora has come down to us. Archaeologists have discovered real letters written on materials such as lead, wooden tablets, or papyrus leaves. On the other hand, many letters were written not only for specific addresses, but for circulation among a larger readership and as literary artifacts. Apart from real letters or literary letters discussing matters of daily life, culture, or politics, there also exist several corpora containing fictional letters, letters entirely written for literary entertainment. In addition to the letters themselves, we also have theoretical treatises on the question how one should write a letter. Theorists considered letters as one half of a dialogue and as a means to make the absent person present through the medium of the letter. Also as mirrors of the soul, revealing the character of the writer. They also distinguished two main functions of letter correspondence: to give an account of events, to narrate, or to chat and joke with the addressee. Similar to today's social media, ancient letters not only served for exchanging information and chatting, but were also important media of self-representation and self-promotion. From antiquity, a large variety of types of letters, as well as topics which were discussed in letters, have come down to us. Accounts of political events and daily news, recommendation or characterization of individuals, friendly joking, complaining, exchanging poetry, telling tales, and so on and so on. In many cases, letters are also seen as gifts which help to consolidate the good relationship between the individuals. Delivering private letters was often difficult, as the postal system, as we now know it, the so-called cursus publicus, which the Emperor Augustus had installed, was only used for official messages. Thus, letter writers had to find a messenger themselves, a tabellarius or Greek grammatophoros, who would deliver their letters. I could continue to speak for hours about ancient epistolography, but due to the limited time, I will stop here and just add one more thought. Ancient letter correspondence is a research area where scholars studying Greco-Roman antiquity could collaborate fruitfully with those studying Chinese culture and Chinese literature and compare the ways how communication and networking in the two cultural contexts worked over similar periods of time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you for sharing with us so much knowledge. We learned a lot from your introduction. Our next speaker is a political defense and foreign policy analyst and researcher at the University of Nicosia, Mr. Petros Petrikos.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, dear friends. I'm a PhD candidate in international relations at the University of Nicosia and specializing in security. And I have to say that if I've learned something from my field, it would be two things first and foremost. That would be to think critically and also try and see the puzzle, look for a puzzle and see how the pieces fit together. With that in mind, I've learned that tradition and culture are building blocks. They act together and in order to shape and give form to new things, to new situations. And when we look at traditional culture itself, I like to picture it as a driving force of when we refer to states and societies as a driving force for emerging identities and within our communities. And this goes to say as well that national identity itself can be constructed in such a way. And this is very useful as well to understand the issue of strategic culture, how different nations, different communities come together with their own distinct cultures to understand and interpret and reinterpret, if you like, the world as we know it today. His Excellency, the Ambassador, specifically mentioned earlier that tradition, when we think about it, is of the past, but at the same time, modernity itself is the tradition of the future. I like to picture it as well in the same way, because traditional culture itself, we look for it, we see where it's rooted in, but it's not exactly static. There is a continuity, and we have so much to learn from it. And this goes back into the realm of international relations. We often look at how nations, how communities come into conflict, and because of their differences for maximizing their own interests and benefits. But at the end of the day, this was mentioned earlier as well by different speakers, we're all humans. And understanding the roots of our differences can help us actually realize what our fuller potential is and where we can gain most out of our mutual experiences. I'd like to bring in an example as well, how, because my expertise also lies in security within the European Union, we see how historically a bloc of different cultures, different approaches to politics actually emerged as one through, unfortunately, blood and sweat and war. But at the same time, we see how the bloc itself, despite its difficulties, it recognizes its common approach, and which has actually contributed to the rise of a common approach in different policy areas, such as the common security and defense policy. These things, the common label is very important, because it fosters new cultures, new identities, but at the same time, without abandoning tradition. I don't want to keep you too much, and thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Mr. Petrikos. Very interesting point of view. Now I'd like to give the microphone to Mr. Pieris Kouridis, Dean of School of Business Administration at the European University of Cyprus.
Thank you, dear Ambassador, dear colleagues. Thanks for the invitation. 3 minutes to explore China and Cyprus is too little, or let's say it's only a high. So in those 3 minutes, I will start with the great philosopher Socrates. The only thing I know nothing. So as soon as we understand that we have to learn all the time, is how we start and implement and understand the culture. But what is a culture? It's the values, it's the principles. Those are the knowledges. Okay. However, today we have to address the challenges of 21st century. We are in the generation Z. Apparently, whatever we've done as a generation, X, Y, we've done it. But what about the future? The generation Z is about velocity. It's about speed. It's about how quick events influence our life. However, culture is the lighthouse when we have trouble. We are going back, we examine, we address examples from the past in order to take decisions today. That's the reason the velocity is something that we have to take on board and understand, first of all, before we make a decision, what is our background. And apparently, we have a very nice example here of our university and the China Republic. In 2015, we were the first university that we signed the Belt and Road Initiative. On that day, on those days, when we say that, oh, what is that? We have to explain that. Now we are moving to the digital Belt and Road. However, when we celebrate 50 years last year in November of our collaboration between our republics, in our university, we organized the first International Youth Forum. And this is a continuation, which means that we have done something right. Also, because we believe sometimes in our sharing culture, as a university, we established the ITEC, the International College of Digital Economy in Wuhan province with Minyang University, which we offer our students in China the same degree as we offer here in Nicosia. And we are very proud of that, about 285 students. And this is something that we are very proud. And actually, now we have 9 faculty members in China teaching not only the classes of engineering, digital, marketing, arts, and so on, but also the culture. And most of the activities that are taking place is about exchanging this, what we learn from the culture. Speak with my colleagues in China, they are so impressed about how the Chinese, they would like to learn about Cyprus, and what also our colleagues, they would like to learn about the Chinese culture. The only thing we can say is that, going back to the Victor Hugo, is we can stop the invasion. We can stop the invasion of an army, but we cannot stop the invasion of an idea. And this is how we create knowledge. And what is taking place today is about sharing tacit or explicit knowledge, our own values and principles from different angles. From the business perspective, China and Cyprus, well, Cyprus to China can contribute 3 only minutes to the annual whole thing, but China to Cyprus is something bigger. So size is not something that we have to codify it, and also be aware. As a European university, we collaborate with the Chinese universities, we establish the college, and it's running. So we have to make vision into place. And this is great to two great visionaries, Professor Williams, but at the same time, President Xi and also President Anastasia, is that on that specific date, they put their signature and they agree to establish that college. So thanks for coming and thanks for having us. And I believe that the future for China and Cyprus in the near future or in the long future, the speed will be even better than metaverse. Thank you.
Such a great opinion, Mr. Houridis. Thank you for sharing. Next, I would like to welcome Mr. Stavros Agathou, member of Central Committee of AKEL, Central Secretariat of EDON, and Head of International Relations of EDON, to share with us his opinion.
Thank you. First of all, on behalf of the Central Committee of AKEL and our youth organization, EDON, allow me to thank the Chinese Embassy for the invitation, and of course all the co-organizers for hosting this forum. The exchange of ideas, practices, and knowledge can help all of the participants to be wiser and of course more ready for today's challenges. Totally agree with the previous speaker. 30 minutes are very few to discuss everything about this topic. So allow me only to share some general ideas as a contribution to our discussion. So in an effort to address current challenges and the society's contemporary needs, we cannot exclude from the discussion the significance of promoting traditional cultures. The increase of cultural exchanges and mutual learning are main aspects of this effort. The experiences of the youth in general, and especially the experiences of the Chinese youth in the procedure of the society's progress, can give us many examples for our own struggle, for our own try for progress. It can enrich our knowledge, our understanding of each other, and of course strengthen our action in defense of the youth and the working class of Cyprus. Particularly for us, it may be even more important to promote the traditional culture of Cyprus, since the people of our divided and occupied country embody different cultural characteristics that had been elements of cooperation and harmonious coexistence in the past. Of course, in order to manage the promotion of culture, the main condition that the state, the government, the educational system has to ensure is the reduce of obstacles that people and the youth significantly have for knowing and on accessing culture. In other words, we have to see the promotion of traditional culture as a modern challenge, a contemporary challenge itself. It is not enough to say that we have the intention to promote it. The state has to invest on it and unconditionally share it and support it with the people and the youth. Once again, thank you very much on behalf of EDON and AKEL for the invitation, and congratulations for the organization of this forum.
Well said, Mr. Agathou. Thank you very much.
Now, instead of Mr. Muyiz, we have the pleasure to have with us Mrs. Antonia Fragu. I would like to hear what Mrs. Antonia Fragu, Deputy President of NEDIC and Youth Department of DICO, has to share with us about the topic, promote traditional culture to address current challenges. Please.
First of all, thank you for having us here, for the invitation on behalf of NEDIC. Dear Ambassador, Your Excellency, dear rectors. When we all think about culture, we think about three things: tradition, prosperity, and fun. Nowadays, we're facing challenges and we're in difficult times, and we were never intended to be doing so, to be here and to be doing so. Both Cyprus and China seem to share a common sense of how tradition and culture is one of the best tools to help both peoples to come close and overcome their problems. I urge my Cypriot friends to take one trip in China, which will persuade them on the similarities we share in the sense of the development of the arts and culture. Once again, the Cyprus-China Forum aims towards that direction, and I'm honored to be part of it. Of course, our countries have diverse cultures, and our tradition emerged in different ways, as there are quite a few miles between us. Nonetheless, the two countries seem to share similar cultural anxieties. From ancient times till nowadays, the peoples developed their own unique musical instruments, for example, architectural masterpieces, artistic paintings, literature, poems, poetry, drama, and folk songs. The designs of traditional costumes, the way they developed throughout the years in both of these countries is exceptional and unique. Likewise, the necessity to develop our traditional folk music, it is something both the Republic of Cyprus and the People's Republic of China had the feeling and the intention and the sentiment to do so, and especially during times of uncertainty and sometimes conflict throughout the years. It is the proof that real social protection can only become available when the arts are still developing and emerging. But it is not only what I have already mentioned, it is also the sports we play together, for example. The Olympics, as this year China organized the Winter Olympics back in Beijing, but Beijing held also one of the best summer Olympic events in the past, in 2008, a very well organized and successful, and definitely a one to remember event. Olympics traveled back in times as ancient Greece influenced Cyprus in too many ways during the ancient years. A worth mentioning example is that we have, as part of our culture, an ancient Greek motto, "Evagonistaste," meaning fair play, which shaped our sport mentality for years and throughout the years. All of the above mentioned points, together with our everyday lives, for example, our agriculture, our vineyards, our farming facilities, the lunch we eat, our everyday trip to work, they remind us everything we feel, the distress we share, and as youth actors is what enables us to come together and seek for new experience to gain from tradition, prosperity, and fun. In general terms, as I've already mentioned, culture. Now we're facing climate change, for example, and it is a really important thing that we are all here to recognize the problem and seek to find solution, both Cypriots and Chinese people. This is why I would like again to thank you for inviting me here to be part of this forum and exchange ideas and opinions with other Cypriot and of course Chinese scholars. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. We heard so many inspiring things. Thank you. So the time for you to speak has come. Please feel free to raise your hand and ask a question to the young representatives in China. Yes, please, you can use the microphone in front of you.
Hello, it's my honor to be here at this forum. I would like to ask which aspects of Chinese traditional cultures have been studied at Chinese universities.
Professor Wang, did you hear the question?
Yes, let me give my phone to my colleague.
Okay.
Dr. Wang Mengqiao is going to answer this question.
So if I'm hearing it correctly, you're asking what are the traditional Chinese cultures studied in Chinese universities?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's since as many of the countries, Chinese traditional culture has many different aspects, and in Chinese universities, as some of the speakers mentioned before, our study covers many different fields, including from music and art to Chinese philosophy and history. And some of them are theoretical that you can learn from, reading textbooks. Some of them are rather practitioner. You can learn from, participating in. Some of them are rather unique in China, such as, Beijing opera or calligraphy. Pretty much anything in. We also mentioned in agriculture and ancient scientific skills, which we share a lot of similarities between Chinese civilization and the Greek civilization in Cyprus, and so on. Hopefully this answered your question.
Yes, thank
you. Yes, any more questions?
Are there any other questions?
Yes, please.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much for having us here. My question is, which aspects of Western traditional cultures are Chinese students especially interested in?
Okay, this is a really good question. We also learn many different type of components that related to Western culture, similarly from philosophy to history to different kind of arts and music. But in the case of, for example, in the case of Cyprus or any countries that is closely related to Greek civilization or the Roman civilization in the Mediterranean Sea area, I think Chinese students are especially interested in the like architecture. Like we've seen many of the Greek style architecture in some of our own decorations of our own homes, right? And rather daily stuff like food and music. But I think for the case of Greece and Cyprus, one of the most unique thing is about philosophy, because there are a lot of famous Greek philosophers that we always learn and have to compare with the Chinese philosopher like Confucius. I guess a lot of people, even before college, they are all aware of Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, and so on, of the Greek philosophers, and they are especially interested in that in their college lives.
Thank you very much. As our time is limited, I would like to give the chance to Beijing audiences to raise questions. Back to you, Professor Wang.
Oh, okay, thank you, Mariana. Any questions from our floor for our Nicosia speakers?
Thanks. As Taiji was mentioned above, I was interested in that which sport can represent the culture of Cyprus and how has this sport developed until now? Thanks.
Is there anyone of you that wants to answer the question? Shall they repeat again? Can you please repeat the question?
Yeah. I said, what sport can represent the culture of Cyprus? Which sport?
Which sport?
Yeah.
And the culture of Cyprus.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So which sport is most representative, typical in Cyprus, representing the Cyprus culture, and how is this sport conducted in modern time?
Yeah, I think a visit to every festival, every weekend across Cyprus, you will find different sports that they've been crafted in our culture. However, it's not an Olympic Games or an, how you say, very famous one. However, in Cyprus, we are, as a small nation, we are following the basic key sports that everybody. However, we are very proud on those individuals in the Olympic Games on the gymnastics that actually we have Olympic medals. And also in the in sailing that we have in Beijing, we have a bronze, I think, or we have a medal. So it's stating that Cyprus is very good on the individual parameter, not done in a football or in a basketball. We are not in a nation of exploring that, although the majority of the investment is there. However, this is possibly is not the expected result that we have. But however, the governments all over the years, they encourage young people to get on those swimming, gymnastics, sailing, that they can explore the individual talent than the team. That's a sport that represents Cyprus.
Thank you, Mr. Houridis.
Oh, thank you. So I think due to the time, stress, maybe we will take no more questions. Shall we come to the next closing session?
Sure. Thank you all for your participation. Our forum has almost come to an end, but before that, let's welcome the UIB Rector, Mr. Xia Wenbing, for a closing remark.
Xia校长. Now let's invite Mr. Professor Xia Wenbing, Rector of UIB, to give us a closing keynote speech. Please.
His Excellency Mr. Tian Xuejun, His Excellency Ambassador Liu Yantao, Her Excellency Ambassador Massa, Her Excellency Dr. Tipsa, His Excellency Rector Tassos, His Excellency Rector Debbie. Good afternoon. It is an honor for me to be with you online in this golden autumn to attend the second China Silence Young Forum and to work together with the young friends of both countries to write a new chapter of friendship between China and Cyprus for the generation to come. With the joint efforts of all participants, the second China Cyprus Young Forum is a great success. On behalf of the University of International Business and Economics, I would like to express our heartfelt thanks to the Embassy of the People's Republic of China in the Republic of Cyprus for the invitation and to extend sincere greetings to all the leaders, experts, and guests who are here today in the forum. The University of International Business and Economics has a long history. It is the first institution of higher education in New China to cultivate foreign trade professionals, and is one of the oldest institutions of higher education in New China to conduct international education for foreign students. At the present, the university has established cooperation and exchange with more than 300 famous universities and institutions in 56 countries and regions. The university is characterized by internationalization and has cultivated numerous highly qualified innovated, interdisciplinary, and international leading talents based on its advantageous disciplines such as international economics and trade, law, business, administration, and foreign language and literature. The university has more than 2,500 international students, with its scale and publishing rank in the tops in China in the past 10 years. 10 international students from Cyprus have graduated from UIB. At this moment, I feel very proud because Marinara and Sophia, the moderates of today's forum in Cyprus, who have lived and studied in China for 7 years, are our outstanding graduates. I believe they have acted as a bridge of friendship between the young of China and Cyprus. Chinese President Xi Jinping has raised earnest expectations for the young on several important occasions. He stressed that young people are the future of the country and the hope of the nation, and that a nation will prosper only when its young people thrive. For generations of youngs in the new area, the time couldn't be bad for them, since they have an incomparably bold stage to display their talents and bridge prospects than even before to realize their dreams. Similarly, the young of China and Cyprus are the hope of the two countries and the nations, the hope of human progress and the future of Sino-Cyprus friendship. Since the establishment of diplomatic relations between China and Cyprus in 1971, exchanges and cooperation in such fields as trade, commerce, health, education, science, and technology, and energy have become increasingly close. Over the past 50 years, China and Cyprus have built up very solid and friendly relations through the efforts and legacy of generations from the government to the people. And the 50th anniversary of diplomatic relations between China and Cyprus in 2021 has brought the friendship between the two countries to a new level. The China-Cyprus Young Forum, initiated by the Embassy of the People's Republic of China in the Republic of Cyprus, as an important event to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relation between China and Cyprus, was a great success and received a wide acclaim from all sectors of the two countries. As 2022 is the first year of the Sino-Cyprus strategic partnership, this forum has continued the friendly atmosphere between the Chinese and separate people for further promotion, people-to-people exchange and enhancing mutual understanding between the two nations. Today, with the vision of green life and a friendship between China and Cyprus, the young friends of the two countries have had an independent exchange on the topics of promoting sustainable development for a green future and promoting traditional culture to address current changes. Bring us a great feast of knowledge and a wonderful culture encounter. Diversity spurs in the reactor among civilization, which is in turn promotes mutual learning and furthers development. As Chinese President Xi Jinping emphasized, that the exchange and multi-learning of civilization become a bridge to enhance friendship among people, a driving force for the progress of human society and a link to maintain world peace. The success of the second China-Cyprus Young Forum is of great significance and far-reaching. In future, we hope that our young friends with the ambition of deepening Sino-Cyprus friendship in mind will pursue their dreams of bravely and create a wonderful life. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Yeah. Mariana and Sophia, are you there?
Yes.
So now it's over to you.
Okay, so we continue for the ending. How about Mr. Director of Shihezi University, Mr. Dai Bin?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please join me welcoming Professor Dai Bin to give us a keynote speech. Please.
Your Excellence, Mr. Liu Yantao, Ambassador of China to Cyprus. Your Excellency, Mr. Tassos Christophers, Inspector of the University of Cyprus. Your Excellency, Dr. Tapasa Constantino, Director of the Department of Higher Education and Youth of Cyprus. Your Excellency, Mr. Xiang Wenbin. Hello, everyone. It gives me great pleasure to attend the second China-Cyprus Youth Forum to communicate with you. Today, around the themes of green development of traditional culture, Chinese and Cyprus youth made a heated discussion, sharing with and exchanging experience, which resonated with them all. As Chinese President Xi Jinping and Cyprus President Anastasios point out China and Cyprus are friends who trust each other, and China is a vital partner and friend of Cyprus. Cyprus University is a key university, both under 211 project and the national double first class construction program. It has 11 disciplines, including economics, law, pedagogy, In particular, our university has made fruitful achievements in some research fields, such as efficient agriculture and ecology in desert or oasis areas, green chemical processes and new material technologies, and the economic and social development in Xinjiang oasis. Contributing to the green development of Xinjiang, our university has successfully carried out exchanges and cooperated with more than 17 universities and scientific research institutions in the United States, Russia, Kazakhstan, and other countries. More than 1,350 people from 32 countries have come to the university for study. We established Confucius Institutes in Kazakhstan. The university looks forward to fruitful cooperation with the universities of Cyprus in scientific research, and foreign countries, joint higher education program, Confucius Institute, construction, etc. As Chinese President Xi Jinping has said in the 20th National Congress of Communists part of China held recently, the world, the times, and the history are changing in an unprecedented way. And the human society is confronted with challenges unseen before. China put forward the initiative of global development and the initiative of global security, staying ready to work with the international community to implement them. Dear friends, the earth is the homeland for human beings to live in and protect, and human beings are in a community with a shared future. I hope that the youth of China and Cyprus will work together to uphold the concept of green development, promote cultural exchanges, respect each other, cooperate for win-win results, address challenges together, and build a community with a shared future for mankind with wisdom and energy and creativity. Finally, I would like to congratulate the second China Cyprus Youth Forum on its complete success, and I wish the Chinese and Cyprus people everlasting friendship. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Dai Ding. And now we'd like to turn the microphone back to Nicosia. Marianne Sophia, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chen from Xinjiang. Thank you, Professor Wang from Beijing. We are pleased to announce that the second China-Cyprus Youth Forum has now come to an end, but the friendship between China and Cyprus never ends.
我们相信山海有情，友谊与真诚终将弥久弥坚。
下面我们宣布第二届中赛青年论坛中国塞浦路斯专场活动到此结束，谢谢大家。Thank you all for your participation. Ευχαριστούμε πολύ. Please don't forget to take some of the Chinese traditional food outside the room provided by the Chinese Embassy in Cyprus.
好，那我们再请两位校领导和咱们的工作人员们一起合个影啊。那Jason，赶紧招呼大家啊。 也非常感谢同学们啊，感谢各位老师啊。同学们一起来吧啊！咱们大家庭团聚团聚呀来，两位校领导先，咱们杰森你指挥一下。